he'd sit right down and say, okay, here's a napkin, put your story on there. If he caught you in a grocery store, he'd get out a paper bag and say, okay, put your story down right here. I know this for a fact because when I had to go type all of this, I said, where's all this information? He said, well, there's a pile over there. And I'd look over there and there'd be a pile of napkins and I don't know what. And I said, that's where the stories are? Yeah. Okay. So I'm fairly sure that a number of restaurants, there were like 3 or 4 of them that were named on napkins. Yeah, they got a little publicity. But these are wonderful books. I think this is the only one where there are any copies left. I think the VFW has maybe a couple boxes left. The first one I didn't bring tonight. I have 1 copy of it. They are wonderful books, and I wanted to point that out because it is something about Bob Brumler that probably a lot of veterans know, but probably a lot of other people don't know. It was his dedication and commitment to telling the story of the veteran. So now, without further ado, and I hope I didn't steal any of his thunder, I'm going to invite Steve Strigo. From the American Legion, and Steve took over the Memorial Day services and Veteran Day services from Bob Brumler.
Good evening. It is a great pleasure to come tonight to speak about Robert S. Brumler. Everyone in here knows that Holly was a wonderful place to grow up. But we owe Robert S. Brumler a deep debt of gratitude for this town being the place to grow up that it is. The dedication that he gave through the VFW, through the Kiwanis, through the school board, was just outstanding. As a young man, you would find, especially if you belonged to the United Methodist Church, you would walk in and you would find the man that was in charge. That would be Robert S. Brumler. If you had a problem, you would talk to Mr. Brumler, because as a young man, you called him Mr. Brumler, as was taught back then. And if there was anything going on, Mr. Brumler would take care of it for you. Later in life in the church, when Bob had stepped down from his committee jobs, and we ushered, it was Josh's dad, Maureen Pearson, Bob and I were permanent ushers there for about 18 years. But by then, I was a little older, and to me, he was Bob, my friend. When I joined the Masonic Lodge, I walked into the room, and guess who was standing there? Past Master Robert Brumler, standing tall and welcoming me. Every year on Memorial Day, we would gather downtown for as long as I could remember. Down there would be several people that are still with us. Ed Adams and Bud Mendez and Bob. Bob always had his Navy uniform on. He was extremely proud of being a Navy veteran. Sometimes I thought he was still in the Navy. But then we would march to the cemetery. Bob would step up to the mic and the magic would happen. Memorial Day every year progressed like clockwork. And with great pride, he ran that ceremony. Particularly the rose ceremony that had the names of several of his friends that were killed in action. You would see the look on his face when those names were read, and you knew which ones they were. Over the years, Bob was relentless with Memorial Day. I mean, by relentless, I mean he was always there. Always taking charge, always getting things done. And the same happened with Veterans Day. On Veterans Day, gathered at the cemetery, and at the mic was Bob Brumler, taking care of business, making sure that the ceremony was handled properly and that all the business was taken care of. When Bob got a little bit older, it got to the point where when the names of his friends were read, he'd get a little bit emotional and he'd have to collect his thoughts. And it was kind of a sad day when I received a phone call that they wished that I would come to the VFW meeting. This was in February of 1995, I believe. So I came, and John Karlowski came with me. He was the commander of the American Legion at the time. And sat down with the members of the VFW that generally put the Memorial Day and Veterans Day services on. And we got to talking about the upcoming services for the year. And they went to me and they said, Bob doesn't feel that he'd be able to keep his composure well enough to continue to do this, and he wants you to take his place. You can only imagine what kind of an honor that was. I mean, I can remember in the afternoon going down Saginaw Street, and here's a sailboat out on Evans Lake. Bob was relaxing. He even stopped one evening and gave a kid on a paddleboat a ride in the sailboat, and I appreciated it greatly. But we discussed that and discussed how we were going to do it. And Bob was so dedicated to Memorial Day and Veterans Day that every year in April I received a phone call. How are the arrangements progressing? They're doing good, Bob. I think I've got everything taken care of. Well, maybe you ought to come over. We'll sit down, we'll go over everything to make sure it's right. You know, I look forward to those phone calls. And his commitment to Memorial Day was one of the things that you could look at and say, that is a true man. That is a true person of dedication. And when it came time that he moved to the Masonic home, I visited him several times. And I went up there the last time I went to visit him. He was in the chair and they had a tether on him and it was hooked to an alarm on the back of the chair. And I asked the nurse, I said, she said, that rascal gets up and wanders away, we can't find him. So I talked to him about it. And it was just the joking thing, and he was quite serious. He said, I'm looking for veterans. Because Bob was a true veteran and was a true dedicated person, particularly to the veterans of Holly and the veterans ceremonies of Holly. And he'll forever be missed. Thank you.
There are a number of people that need to be thanked. First off, Terry Striegel. I saw him sitting there someplace. Terry? Oh, way in the back. And Tony Conte, who they were all, she's way in the back too. They were both exceedingly helpful in this process, getting me names, getting me information, phone numbers. And Tony Conte sort of reminded me a little bit about Robert Brumler because she called me a number of times to make sure we were going on the right path. That's okay, I don't mind. because mistakes can be easily made. Some other people that need to be thanked include the Village of Holly, where I'm going to read a proclamation here in a minute from the Village of Holly. The Village of Holly put together a proclamation. We also have a proclamation or a tribute coming from the state of Michigan. Couldn't get here tonight because they've been in session the last couple of nights, and there was just no way to get it here. So as soon as we get it, we'll let everybody know, and we'll go from there. But I also want to thank the Holly Township Library. They put up with me hauling all those big newspaper books. Have you ever seen those big newspaper books? They are monsters, but they are a tremendous wealth of information. And being older than I am, I learned how to use my smartphone and take pictures of articles, so I didn't have to write notes. And I got quite a few really nice pictures of the first 10 recipients of the Carl Richter Award. And in every one of those pictures was Robert Brumler. So that was a dual hit. And also a couple of other places that need to be thanked. I want to thank the Carl Richter Community Center for letting us use the facility tonight, and for making sure we had a microphone and all of those sorts of things. And I'd also like to thank both the VFW and American Legion and their members for helping us out in a lot of different ways. Now, at the end of the program, there are 2 plaques here. I want to tell you where these plaques are going to go. They are going to go, they should go into the village offices on the other end of the building, down by the gym. There's another Carl Richter display. It has his exemplar picture, and right next to it is the Purple Heart Village sign. If you're looking at the picture, to the right